Hi, I'm Dirk van Zyl, and for today's Saxenburg Stories, I would like to tell you a little bit more about the most widely used preservative in the world of winemaking. This is, of course, sulfur dioxide. So sulfur dioxide is a naturally occurring substance. Yeast even forms small amounts of it during fermentation, and that's why all wines, even wines with no sulfur added, contain small amounts of sulfur dioxide. So why do we as winemakers use sulfur dioxide? Well, it prevents the wine from going bad. So sulfur dioxide does this by two ways. Firstly, it's antioxidative, which means it prevents oxygen from stripping the wine's flavor and even turning the wine to a brownish color. But secondly, and very importantly, it's also antimicrobial. This means it prevents spoilage yeasts and bacteria from forming off flavors, which would ruin your wine completely. As a winemaker, it's always very important to consider how much sulfur to add. If you start adding a little bit too much, you can easily mask the natural flavors, the more nuanced flavors of your wine. You can inhibit the development of your wine. And if you add way too much, you can start smelling the sulfur, which is really off-putting. It's also important to note that sulfur in wine is quite highly regulated. So in South Africa, for dry wines under 5 grams per liter of sugar, we're allowed a maximum dosage of 160 parts per million. Most wines will never get there. Most wines range between 100 and 140 or 130. So really quite low. And if this still sounds high, when you compare this to dried fruit, for instance, dried fruit easily has more than 1,500 parts per million. So much more than what you would find in wine. And this brings me to my last point. Sulfur dioxide often gets blamed for a lot of bad things. People say, oh, it gives them headaches, they get runny nose or allergic reactions to it. And yes, about 1% of the world's population do have a sensitivity towards sulfur dioxide. But there's really no proof that sulfur dioxide is, in the levels that is found in wine, bad for you in any way. So next time you pick up a bottle of wine and you look at the back label and it says contains sulfites, do not despair. It won't do anything to you. It just ensures that that bottle of wine is the quality that you expect it to be. Enjoy.